Is there anywhere more iconic than this? Paris, home to the 2024 Olympics, the current Rugby World Cup, and today, the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, Europe's most valuable horse race. A race so synonymous with the city that it takes its name from another of its famous monuments. Runners representing France, Japan, Britain, Ireland, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Dubai and Qatar itself, all competing for their share of €5 million and the trophy of all trophies. And nobody knows this fine city's race better than the great Frankie Dettori. Will it be a magnificent seventh for the Italian and his final appearance? Best head to Longchamp and find out. Yes, welcome along to Paris Longchamp. It's fabulous to have you here with us, and fabulous to have these legions of fans from all around the world who are here in Paris today in the sunshine. And fear not, the world's most famous and who some would consider the world's very best jockey is here with us too for his final ride in Europe's biggest race. Welcome along to Paris Longchamp. Welcome along to the golden hour where in just over 30 minutes time you can enjoy Europe's richest flat race with us, and Paris is bathed in balmy sunshine for this autumn afternoon. Completely different conditions to 12 months ago, where it was the popular mare Alpinista who went off, a very firm fans' favourite.
Maintenant pas mal de terrain, Alpinista qui vient à l'intérieur, Halakim qui vient à l'extérieur, Vanini est en troisième position, Torquator Tasso qui va maintenant revient de très loin complètement à l'extérieur, Alpinista la jument grise à l'intérieur avec Vanini, avec Torquator Tasso qui est en troisième position, Alpinista qui va créer l'exploit et remporter le Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
Oh my God, so Annabelle, who looks after the fillies, she's my best friend, and Luke is my partner. So, oh, my heart is going a million.
To dream about it, it was almost like, I can't dream that big, it's just such a big dream, but you know, it's always part of you that's hoping that it might come across, but she wanted it, she wanted to win.
You know, I had thought that my first winner when I was 15, I thought that was the best 10 minutes of my life, but I think I might replace it now with the last 100 yards of that race and all those people applauding.
Well, Alpinista beat a field of 20 last year. This year we have a field of 15 lining up, but there is no horse here who doesn't deserve their place, and certainly we're not missing anyone from around the world. Sisfahan is number one, Lucas de Lozier for Henk Grue, two in the race for the trainer, Hey Zark for Gérald Mosse, who won the race 33 years ago. He rides here for Adrien Fouassier. Honesto for Maxime Guillon and Fabrice Chappé. Simca Mila gets his ground, Alexis Pucha for Stéphane Wattel. Maybe Baybridge doesn't get his ideal ground. He'll come out of stall number 6, Richard Kingscote for trainer Sir Michael Stout. Westover lines up for Rob Hornby out of stall number 1, trainer Rafe Beckett, and going head-to-head with his old foe Hookham, Jim Crowley and Owen Burrows. They finished first and second in the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes. A winner on this card last year, Place du Carrousel. She comes out of stall 11 for André Fabre and Mikhail Barcelona. The Japanese Raider through 7 seas would be an incredibly popular winner. Christophe Lemaire for Tomohito Ozeki. Free wind for Frankie Dettori, who needs no introduction, John and Thady Gosden. That's number 10. She'll come out of stall 3. Mr. Hollywood for Brazan Muzabayev. Another one for Henk Grue, as I said. Feed the Flame, Christophe Soumillon. Pascal Barry has formed to reverse with the French favourite, Ace Impact. Unbeaten for Christian Dumuro and Jean-Claude Rouget. Fantastic Moon for René Piechilek, who won the race a few years ago with Toccato Tasso. He rides for his partner, Sarah Steinberg, and Continuous completes the lineup for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. So those are the equine stars we're going to see later on. Joining me at Longchamp now is a World Cup winner, former Arsenal invincible Robert Pires. Robert, you're no stranger to Longchamp.
Hello everybody. Yeah, I know a little bit Longchamp. I know a little bit this race. I know he's the best, maybe one of the best in the world. A long time ago, one of my house participated on this arc the Triomphe. The name was Tonga Speed. She's doing well. So yeah, I know everything about this race. Location is amazing. I know the crowd is fantastic, and yeah, since a long time I'm very passionate about the house.
It was in one of the greatest arcs of all time, Sea the Stars' arc, and Tonga Speed ran very well.
Yes.
Compare the emotion of owning a horse running in a Arc de Triomphe compared to going out to play in a World Cup final in your home country in 1998.
Well, I think sometimes it's very difficult to compare something, but if we compare, maybe the pressure, because jockey, they know they have a lot of pressure because this is the best, the best final. It's maybe like the final of the World Cup. We won in 1998.
It did.
It was in France. It was very difficult against Brazil, but I think for the jokers or the house, is a they feel the pressure. Everyone wants to lift the trophy, so it's a big day and big pressure for everyone, for the manager and of course for the jockey.
What was Paris like that night in 1998 when you won?
I don't know. Maybe the mix, but the manager, because when you are a manager, you need to build a good team. It's not easy to choose the players. Maybe for the manager of the house is the same. But when you have the final like today, the most important is to be concentrated and to be focused.
Robert, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Great to have you here. And
thank
from one sporting legend to another, Frankie Dettori lining up in his final arc. It really won't be the same without him.
Paris, Longchamp, the theatre of dreams. All roads lead to this. They are coming from all over the world. A city of refinement, of romance and fashion. Parisian have styles, and this is coming from an Italian. For over 100 years, the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe has been the pinnacle of flat racing season in Europe, where champions are made. Equine immortality guaranteed.
De l'Arc de Triomphe.
France, Germany, Britain, Ireland and Italy have all been victorious on the first Sunday in October. And Japan, with the legion of fans, the horse Manzoli Grea has so far eluded them, but only just. To be a champion of the turf, you need class, you need power, speed and stamina, desire. And maybe a little je ne sais quoi. I should know, nobody has won it more times than me. My first start, I was only 24-year-old. But Queen Enable gave me wins 5 and 6. But wins that don't come easy. A record-breaking treble wasn't to be. This year will be the last rendezvous with Europe's greatest horse race. And the love for this race will endure for a lifetime.
It's been a wonderful Arc de Triomphe.
What a masterful ride from Frankie Dettori.
Well, there's no doubt he'll miss Longchamp. He'll miss us and the fans here. Goodness me, we're going to miss him. And here he was earlier on, walking the track with trainer John Gosden. Something he does 11 a.m. every arc day. A creature of habit. And well, it's worked for him 6 times in the past. Now, we've had 2 Group 1s for the thoroughbreds already today. We've had the Prix Jean-Luc Lagardère and the Prix Marcel Boussac. The first of them is for the boys, over 1,400 metres or 7 furlongs. The second of them, the Boussac, for the girls, over 1,600 metres or a mile. This was Rosalien earlier on. Keep your eye, yellow colours with the black spots. Sean Levy, Richard Hannon, and he threads through on this horse who was beaten last time in the UK, a touch disappointing, but back on better ground. He picks up really well to finish in front of Unquestionable in the Qatar Racing Silks for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien, who hit the front at this point. And back in third was the French favourite, Beauvatier. But Rosalien was mightily impressive in taking the first of the Group 1 races today. We then had the Prix Marcel Boussac, an excellent performance here from Opera Singer, who was the one to beat on all-known form. Whenever turning up for this race, Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore need to be well respected. And, well, she was given a bit of rope out in front to go and make her running, and she fairly bolted up, destroyed this very good Group 1 field. She looks a hugely exciting prospect going forward. Now remember, that race is over a mile or 1,600 metres. She is a 2-year-old, a juvenile. The first 2 races here were for juveniles, those 2 Group 1s. So she could really make her mark in one of the classics next year, likely over a mile and a half. Hugely exciting performance for her. And she'll be one to follow going forward. So we're building up to our big race. Bathed in sunshine here, the punters that are coming through the gates, well, it hasn't been like this for quite some time. And worth pointing out that that first race was a track record time. So yes, very good horse, Rosalien, but also very quick ground we're dealing with today. That's not going to suit every runner in the Arc. Now, there are 3 potential big stories to unfold today. We've covered one of them, certainly, in the form of Frankie Dettori, were he to win his 7th Arc. The other one, of course, is if the French raider, Ace Impact, was to go and score. And the third of them, probably top of the tree as far as an international story goes, were if the Japanese were to win it with Through 7 Seas. Frankie called it the horseman's holy grail in Japan for a reason. Here are some riders talking about what it would mean to win the biggest race for Japan.
夢というより海外のレースで憧れのレースだったんで
僕はいつも日本でインタビューで僕の夢の一番の夢のレースですいつも言ってて
It was so important for me in Japan to try to win the Arc.
僕が初めて乗った時はそのホワイトマズルで出た時あまり知らなかった日本人は凱旋門賞、
知らなかったね、
だけど
だんだん有名なレースになりました、ね、で
僕がするとやっぱりファンもみんな毎年テレビで見て、今はもうみんなもうドリーム
なぜ日本のファンにとって凱旋門賞がそんなに重要なことと思いますか？
ビッグレースたくさんあります、キングジョージもあればイギリスね、キングジョージもあればアメリカブリーダーズカップもあれば、ケンタッキーダービーがあったり各国いろんな素晴らしいレースあると思うんだけど、なんかちょっとフランスのその凱旋門っていうのは思うな、なんだろうね。
凱旋門賞は一番勝ちたいみたいで、
なんかね、
日本のファンとか、僕も競馬ファンと話すときは凱旋門賞頑張ってって
言われます。
別のレースはいらないけど、凱旋門賞だけ買って
ほしいって。
そう面白いです。
なんかやっぱり日本人のオリンピック、さっき言ったようにオリンピックと一緒でなんかこう日の丸あげたいみたいな、なんかそういうのがとか2回その近くまで行ったから、多分もうちょっとって思ってるかもしれないですよね、日本の競馬のファンは。
Well, the bell has gone here at Longchamp, so we're not too far away from the horses coming into the paddock, and the excitement really is building. I can't underplay it. If the Japanese were to win this, it would be huge. They have virtually won everything around the world. They've won races at the Breeders' Cup. They've won races at the Saudi Cup. They've won races easily at the Dubai World Cup. But there's something about Europe which remains a little trickier for them. It could be a ground thing. It's not a distance travelled thing. But today could be ideal for Through Seven Seas because she has her quick ground. She has her conditions. The horses are indeed going to be making their way in shortly. You can see a packed paddock in and around me here with connections from all around the world who are going to be welcoming in their runners soon enough. We've got connections from Coolmore behind me. We've got some of the Japanese connections over to my left and dignitaries from around the world here who are really looking forward to seeing this, this excellent field line up. So we're not too far away. We'll have a little manoeuvre around the paddock. If you head over this way for us, and you can see just how deep they go in the stands and how many people are looking forward to seeing, make no mistake, the best thoroughbreds from around the world lining up on what is the most remarkable of days. And in fact, talking of Japanese dignitaries and people who want to see Japan win the race, I wonder if I can grab a word with this man. Hello, this is Dr. Kenichi Kusano, who is from the Japanese Racing Association. We've talked a lot on our programme today about Through Seven Seas, Dr. Kusano. How much would it mean for Japan to win this race?
Very much so, because we've been sending horses since late 1960s, and we came second for a fourth time, and I think we are very close. And because this arc is rated as one of the best races, so winning this race is very important, and it's one of our dreams.
We heard on the feature we did, Yutaka Taki speaking to Christophe Lemaire, talking about how fans say to them, we want to win the arc. This is the one we want to win. Is that because so far it's eluded you in Japan compared to really every other race around the world?
Well, I think it's very simple, because if we win the best race, it means we can upgrade our blood stock. And if we don't have good blood stock, we don't have good racing. So it's simple as that. So we want to win the best race, which means we can be the best racing country.
What do you think are Through Seven Seas' chances today?
It's a very interesting horse, because this year we've only sent one horse, but it's a filly, 3 years old, so it has a great an advantage in the allowances, and that horse has come second to Equinox on the Takarazuka Kinen, so the performance should be okay, even though she hasn't won a Grade 1 race. And the track is firm, which is fits perfectly for the Japanese horse, so I think we have a great chance today.
Appreciate your time, Dr. Kusano. Good luck to Japan.
Thank you so much. Oen shite kudasai. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Excellent. Good luck. Still in the paddock then at Longchamp for the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. We're approaching the big race now. I think one thing that'll be interesting is to see just how the horses handle this heat. It's not something at this time of year that they are going to be used to. The other point I want to make is what it's been like being in Paris over the last few days. Yes, it's a beautiful city at the best of times in its own right, but being here with Paris Fashion Week going on currently, getting a hotel room was tricky enough. Being here when it is the current Rugby World Cup 2023, there's been a real buzz about the place. Of course, it's the Olympics next year, and the rings are here as well. So there's a huge buzz about this city, and it's great that they're hosting this event at a time when there are so many people from all different sports here. And I think that's only added to the atmosphere, as there'll be people who perhaps wouldn't normally be at the Arc, who have come to have a little look at what goes on at the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. I think we can see some riders who are going to be heading out for us. They head out right at the top end of the parade ring over here. If I take you up this way, this is where they're going to be making their way out. Over to our left, you can see, we called it earlier on, the trophy of all trophies. Well, it is just that. This trophy is quite remarkable. The Arc de Triomphe called it for a reason, and there really is no better trophy, for my money, in world racing. So this is the end where the riders make their way out in what is a pretty crowded paddock at this stage. with all these connections out here. That's the weighing room where they make their way out, and we should just get a shot of these riders as they come out to take up their mounts for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. Some have won it before, some haven't, but we've got the winning most rider represented here, Frankie Dettori. We've got the winning most trainer as well in André Fabre. So as the jockeys make their way out, we can join our colleagues at Equidia for build-up to the 2023 Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
And here he is. I was at Deauville 10 days ago to see him work, and there were smiles all round. So he's a legitimate favourite. He's been touted as a champion all season. And there's also the question of the 3-year-old generation. How good are they?
Yeah, well, I mean, the real August Rodin did show up in Ireland a few weeks ago and beat off his elders in that, obviously, in the Ascot.
I mean, the French 3-year-old generation.
Well,
we've got Big Rock, we've got Feed the Flame.
Well, I mean, Feed the Flame was impressive in the Grand Prix de Paris. He came for the back when he beat the English Oaks winner, Soul Sister. Adelaide River in second is No Mug himself has been placed in classics. So
in the Irish Derby.
Yeah.
And you can hear the commotion in the background as the horses and the jockeys are making their way into the parade ring. We caught a glimpse of Frankie Dettori. He'll be aboard Free Wind. What a story it would be if he could score. And most of the horses seem to be keeping pretty calm. Some Japanese connections going through the shot. That looks like it is Ace Impact, Jean-Claude Rouget's team, and the jockeys there posing for the photo for this 102nd edition of the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. This one is continuous, supplemented into the race. Let's have a look at some more race footage. Let's have a look at Hookham in the King George. They sometimes call it the Summer Arc, the British Arc, and what a race it was, Andrew, a race for the ages.
It certainly was this year. I mean, the King George has been victim of some smallish fields in recent years, but this particular year was a big field. Unfortunately, Auguste Rodin didn't run any sort of race. We couldn't get a chance to compare the generations, but with him dropping out, it developed into a tremendous tussle between Westover and the Juddmonte Silks, who hit the front with about 400 metres to go, and Hookham, who emerges on his outside, approaching the 200-metre mark as a real challenger. And just watch these pair go at it in the final.
Oh, it's a fantastic finish.
200 metres, head-to-head.
Yeah.
No one giving an inch. Finally, it is Hookham just inside that final 100 metres or so, just edges ahead. But all the while, the pair of them just giving their all, pulled a long way clear of the third. It was just a great race to watch.
To witness the race.
Two very good, hardy horses who would be, I think, vulnerable to a top draw 3-year-old if Ace Impact is that. But they're tough, consistent, and you think they're both, as long as the outside draw isn't a major stumbling block for Hookham, they're both going to be banged out at the finish.
Yeah, and Hookham, what a nice story it would be. The first 6-year-old, I mean, you probably don't get many 6-year-olds in the race, but they've been so patient with him. Owen Burrows has been so complimentary about the Shadwell team, who kind of took care of the horse. He won the Coronation Cup last year, then was injured. A lot of people would have retired him, but they nursed him back to health, and then he's been superb since he returned, with notably that King George win, and beautifully bred. He's, of course, we forget the full brother to the champion Baid, who was such a big talking horse last year. And I mean, if he went and won the Arc, he would almost overshadow Baid.
And what Hookham did show on that comeback before he won the King George, he went to Sandown for a race over the 2,000 metres, where he took on last year's Derby winner Desert Crown, who sadly has been very injury prone, but the feeling was that Desert Crown would have too much speed for him over that distance, yet Hookham was the one who emerged on top on that day. And as you say, full marks to his team for nursing him back after what was clearly a pretty serious problem last year.
Yeah, and what a fantastic season it's been for Shadwell. They've had Hookham and Martal Husson, who we'll be seeing later on. You know, they've had a fantastic season, and it's great for Sheikha Hissa, who is continuing the legacy of her late father.
Westover, of course, won the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud prior to that, and that was certainly a strong win. And then to go, who do you think, out of those two horses, Hookham and Westover, who do you think actually had the harder run in that King George?
In terms of the run of the race, well, Westover, we only saw it from the top of the straight. He had a pretty wide trip throughout, even from the starting stall. And then on the home turn, he was forced even wider again. I think you could make a case for saying that, you know, he did particularly well to get as close as he did the way that the race went. I guess it'd be interesting if we do get a shot of him in beforehand, is how he copes with these preliminaries, because that has sometimes been an issue with him, hasn't it? I think he boiled over before this race. Last year tends to go down sort of nice and steady. They've been doing all sorts of different things with him. I saw some footage where he'd been down to the beach a few times, all used to sort of try and keep a lid on this clearly quite exuberant but highly talented 4-year-old.
Yeah, and he's got a form line with Equinox, chased Equinox home at a distance, albeit in the Dubai Shima Classic, and he should like this ground as well. So very much a legitimate contender. He's at 10s on the PMU. We saw some shots of Pascal Barry as you were talking there, and he presents Feed the Flame. We can see his moment of glory, the course and distance in the Grand Prix de Paris. That was probably on similar ground. It was hot that day as well. And over the mile and a half, we saw him being defeated in the Prix de Jockey Club, but he's a true mile-and-a-half horse.
And he's another one. He's like Ace Impact, just gets a long way back in his races. And in this race, he was worse than midfield. There's a field of 8. He was actually racing last throughout, but he made his run from the top of the straight. He was 2 lengths off them as they went past the 200, but then he accelerated. He picked up and he ran away. He won it by a length.
He stays well, but he's got a fair turn of foot himself. Just looking at that, I'd seen it before, but just watching it again, just sort of maybe realise again how at the 400-metre pole, he still had a fair bit to do when Demura was sort of looking for a gap. So he's had to, as well as show stamina, he's had to show speed to collar 2 who sort of got first run on him, if you like. And 2 good horses. I say, let's not forget the Oaks winner was 3rd, and Adelaide River 2nd in an Irish Derby. So that was a
quality race this year.
I think so, yeah.
And well, I've followed Feed the Flame quite closely since the start of his career. I've been here at Paris-Longchamp for his first 2 wins, and also that Grand Prix de Paris. And on his debut win, connections were delighted, and they were saying he's by Kingman, but he's also got that real touch of class. The dam is by Monjeu, and you know, he really does have that combination. But he also has few idiosyncrasies with the fact that he's often slowly away. And after his win in the Grand Prix de Paris, Pascal Barry said, "We will win the Arc, or I will make sure that we will plan a route to win the Arc." And Fanny spoke to Pascal Barry just a few minutes ago.
Just saddled Feed the Flame. How is he?
He looks well, he looks fine, and he's also in good form. He should run very well. I'm hoping for a ground a bit softer, but it's like that.
He's got incredible talent, and he's shown that he has the stamina. Il peut tenir, et il a un incroyable talent.
Oui, distance will not be a problem, and very good acceleration, so we hope.
You've trained some really, really good horses. How does he rate?
One of the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, Pascal Barry is a man of few words, and that's a question I usually do not like to ask, but I wanted him to say it because I know how much this horse means to him. Feed the Flame could be his first Arc winner.
Yeah, it would be a lovely story. Pascal Barry, a really popular member of the training ranks here, a multiple winner of the Prix du Jockey Club. As we've said, he's been placed in the Arc, and he's nearing the end of his career. And when the horse won the Grand Prix de Paris, you've rarely seen as many other of his contemporaries coming out to congratulate him. We just saw some shots there of Westover that was getting a bit warm. Ace Impact is also one that often jig-jogs a little bit. I remember on the Prix du Jockey Club, you could almost, you'd almost written him off in the paddock. He got so worked up, but it didn't stop him at all. So don't be too concerned about that as they head out onto the track for this Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. And as they do, we can maybe continue talking a little bit about Feed the Flame, but in his second place behind Fantastic Moon in the trial, the Prix Niel.
And in this race, Fantastic Moon, of course, was the German Derby winner 2 starts ago. That's or 3 starts ago. That's over the 2400. He then tasted defeat at Munich over the 2000.
We'll just have a look at the parade, then we get to look at them all if they do manage to stay in the parade. We had a shot of the big outsider Hayazark there, and this is number 3 Onesto. He'll enjoy the ground.
Yeah. Sim Camille, number 4.
Yeah. Sim Camille offered trainer Stefan Vattel his first Group 1 win. They're just getting a little bit messy as they try and parade, but most of the horses are there. Here is Bay Bridge. He would have preferred more cut in the ground for Sir Michael Stout, winner of the September Stakes. That was the race that Enable won before she came on to win this second time around.
There's Westover. Yeah, just jig-jogging a bit, but in fairness, that's just him. Nothing too untoward there, I don't think.
Hookham. Here he is. Jim Crowley, Owen Burrows, the trainer. And the Shadwell colours. Shadwell have been so successful all around the world, but they've not yet won an Arc. This is Mr. Hollywood. New colours for him. As they start to break up a little bit in the parade, I think we can maybe...
That a far greater mind than me is to my right.
Al Maktoum, and the colors of the family are going to be born today in the Arc with Hookham. You saw Hookham, you're a horsewoman. What did you think of him?
He's nice and calm, as usual. So all systems go. I was telling the team, if there's a horse we'll take to the Arc, it's this one, who always gives it a good fight.
He's a full brother to Ba'id, and that's, of course, a long family. You've had these families, these lines in your family. What would it mean to see the colors win today on Arc Day?
Well, we had one winner before with Sakhi, who was a homebred. So we've won this in terms of being the breeder, but it would be nice to win it in our own colors and with one of the few last horses my father bred.
We wish you the very best, and thank you so much for continuing the legacy of your father.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Saki carried the Godolphin colours, but was indeed bred by Sheikh Hamdan and the Shadwell operation. And it's great to see these colours continuing to shine under Sheikha Hissa, who seems to really, really enjoy her racing. The grandstands are packed here at Paris Longchamp. About 30,000 people, I would think, will be here to see this Arc de Triomphe as the horses start to arrive down at the post. And we can hear from another, more connections.
We'll have a former champion jockey to my right, so that is Oisin Murphy. No ride in the race this year. You have ridden in the race twice before. What's the key, do you think, to Longchamp over a mile and a half?
You can't waste energy, Tom, and we've been watching the horses parade, seeing which ones are relaxed and have gone to the start in a good frame of mind. And I think the key really is in the first half mile getting a position where you're comfortable and where you're not over racing.
What they do have is that cutaway, which we've seen in the last few seasons, which perhaps has meant that some horses have got a run which, by and large, in the past, they wouldn't have done. Do you think if you're sort of a little bit behind and near the rail, you ride for that cutaway because it gives you an out in the straight?
Absolutely. Jockeys won't be panicking in the fall straight, wondering will they get a run. It's going to open up, and hopefully the best horse will come to the fore in the final furlong and a half.
Pretty good atmosphere here, isn't it?
It's fantastic. The sun is really shining down. We got decent ground this year, a huge crowd, and it's a fantastic renewal of the race.
How much of a difference do you think that good ground makes? The fact that we've got a sound surface, that this isn't a race this year for mud lovers. Does it pay to quality, do you think?
I think so. I think brings lots of horses into the mix, and particularly the Japanese horse. Christophe Lemaire has travelled over from Japan for the ride, and he probably knows at this stage of his career what it takes to go close in a race like this. And I've watched the horse parade. It looks fantastic. That's true 7 Seas.
You have ridden Group 1 winners for Japan in the past. You rode a Japanese horse in this race previously. What would it mean to the nation to win the Arc de Triomphe?
So horse racing in Japan is one of their most followed sports. It's actually in the top 3 when it comes to betting and betting turnover. I think the nation would go crazy. It would mean the absolute world to them. They've come close numerous times, and this could be their year.
It would be absolutely remarkable were it to be their year. If you could ride one horse in the race this year, Oisin, who would it be?
Westover from 1. I thought he ran very well in the King George. I think he'll be fine on the ground. Rob knows him. Rob Hornby, his jockey, knows him quite well. He's had a smooth preparation, and I think the race will play to his strengths.
Westover, who finished second in the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes a few months back. Now, he was a little bit warm as he walked by us in the parade ring. You've talked about how important it is to handle the preliminaries here. Do you think he's ticking those boxes okay?
Yeah, I saw him canter to the start and he was perfect. The horse that's really taken it all in his stride and hasn't been phased is Feed the Flame. He's an each-way prize. Christophe Soumillon is a maestro in a race like this. He's obviously won the race numerous times. Zarkava, Dalakani, Feed the Flame could run first four.
We saw Gérard Mosse, who's one of the most experienced riders around, just there. What about this Ace Impact for Christian Demuro and Jean-Claude Rouget? He's a French Classic winner. He's unbeaten. Could he be the superstar in the field?
He could be. I wonder what Christian's going to do from his draw. He's drawn in the middle in 8. He's not going to want to be trapped wide. He's going to be told to relax early. This is going to be quite tactical. We alluded to it before we came on air, Tom. There's no guaranteed front runner. You can imagine everyone's going to be jostling for positions in the first 2 or 3 furlongs, that first 30 seconds of the race, and the key will be in the end which jockeys are able to get the spot they really want.
When you have a race on paper where there isn't an out-and-out front runner, a horse to take the field along, does that give you potentially an opportunity, if your horse can handle it, to take the bull by the horns and dominate the race?
True. I mean, we've seen Frankie go forward on the likes of Golden Horn and race in second position. The worry with making the running in the arc is if something comes too early in the fall straight, you get racing and then you fall in a hole late on. And I think a lot of the jockeys in this race, bearing in mind they all have Group 1 experience, there's no one stepping up in class that's going to be phased by an event like this. It's going to be quite tactical, Tom.
What's going through the riders' minds ahead of an event like this, Oisin? Or are they all used to it?
They'll want to keep their horses chilled. It's very hot. We see horses that normally wouldn't get worked up. Even Bay Bridge is starting to sweat heavily. It's really important they keep them as calm as possible.
Just a line on continuous for Aidan O'Brien and for Ryan Moore, both with 2 art wins between them. Is he good enough?
I don't think so. I think he's an improving horse with a lot of class, but a Ledger winner has never won the Arc, and I respect that statistic.
We saw a good overhead shot of the stalls there and how they're right up against the rail. How those drawn wide and the bigger numbers are at an advantage?
Yeah,
disadvantage, sorry?
No, I think particularly with the lack of front runner, at least they'll be able to stay out for a bit. They won't have to commit to a position where then maybe a mile later in the race they get stuck behind a horse that isn't going forward.
OK, Bay Bridge goes forward. We are nearly there for the 2023 Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and your commentator for the big race is Simon Holt.
Yes, the last few going in here. Welcome to all you watching wherever you are around the world for this hugely prestigious horse race. A true sporting spectacle coming up. And here's Simca Meal still out of line, most of them in the stalls. Ace Impact went in nicely, stall 8. Just 2.7 paying Ace Impact on the Parimutuel, the local pool betting facility. 2.7, very low return, hugely popular contender here amongst the punters in France and on the racecourse. Hookham going in, the King George winner at Ascot, and Simca Meal will be in the widest position. They're just about set now. It's the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe of 2023, and they're off. Continuous gets away pretty well under Ryan Moore. Bay Bridge is going forward as well, and Plastic Carousel towards the outside as they race through the first furlong. They'll be racing uphill in the early stages, and Bay Bridge is a little bit keen head on one side, Westover and the pink cap on the rail. Going forward now, Simca Meal from the wider straw in the blue with the lighter blue armlets. Mr. Hollywood is right there in the maroon and white spots. Hookham on the outside, getting into a reasonable position, but caught wide. Free Wind and Frankie Dettori, white jacket on the inside. Then Haya Zark, followed by Plastic Carousel, Fantastic Moon. Behind those is Continuous and Ryan Moore. Held up, Ace Impact is 4th last at the moment, through 7 Seas on his inside. Right at the back are Onesto, and Sisfahan is last of all, last of the 15 runners as they continue to climb. And now Mr. Hollywood is sent into the lead. lead. Mr. Hollywood goes on by a length and a half. The Bay Bridge and Hookham really close up. Jim Crowley has done extremely well to get in such a good position from a high draw. Westover round the inside of Simca Meal, then free win behind those Plastic Carousel as they begin a right-hand turn, and soon they'll be running downhill. Feed the Flame is in the centre in the dark green jacket. Fantastic Moon then is out wide of Hayazark and Continuous. Then through Seven Seas, Ace Impact still held up towards the back in the orange black sleeves, red cap worn by Christian Demuro. Watch for him down the home run, and still towards the rear of the field, Onesto and Sisfahan continuing their journey round a succession of right-hand turns back towards the home straight. When they turn into the straight, they'll have 500 metres to race. It's Mr. Hollywood for Germany that leads the way. Hookham in second place, Bay Bridge in third, Simca Meal, Plastic Carousel moving up on the outside. Westover's on the inside from Feed the Flame and Fantastic Moon, and then Ace Impact. Now they're homeward bound in the arc inside the final 500 metres, and Ace Impact is being pulled out towards the extreme right, beginning his run. Meanwhile, Hookham takes over from Bay Bridge. Westover coming through, and Simca Meal. Ace Impact burning down the outside. Here he comes, Ace Impact down the outside. Westover, Bay Bridge on the far side, inside the final furlong. A brilliant turn of foot. What acceleration. Ace Impact, the ace in the pack in the arc, and Ace Impact has won it in tremendous style. Running a blinder to dispute second was Onesto with Westover on the inside. Then through Seven Seas, Continuous, and behind those Sisfahan. Well, he's delivered everything he promised to do, everything he did in the Prix de Jockey Club earlier in the year. Ace Impact, a brilliant winner of the arc. It looks like Westover second, Onesto third, through Seven Seas fourth, and Continuous under Ryan Moore back in fifth place.
One of the very best. Make no mistake, Ace Impact has won the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and he's done it in style. Unbeaten 3-year-old. It takes a good 3-year-old to win this. The last two have won classics in their respective countries, and this horse had won the French Derby, was unbeaten on the way to running in this. They purposefully kept him off the track for 47 days to freshen him up for this run in the biggest race of all. And there is Jean-Claude Rouget clapping along, celebrating before the horse hits the line. He had to wait such a long time for his first victory in the big race, and he got it a few years back with Sotsas in 2020, ridden by Christian Demuro, and that man back in the saddle for his second arc success. And it means so much to everyone associated with the horse. It's not just the jockey, it's not just the trainer. So much goes into it, and they are absolutely delighted with that. Well done to everyone involved with Ace Impact. An excellent run from Westover. He's covered himself in glory in that, but once again he's found one too good. And I think we can hear from Winning Connections.
La première chose, c'était l'équipe.
Ouais. Vous pouvez pas savoir ce qu'il y a autour de tout ça. N'oublions pas qu'autour des chevaux, il y a les hommes. Et les hommes sont là, ils ont toujours été là. On sait d'où on vient avec Jean-Claude. On sait ce qu'on a traversé pendant toutes ces décennies. Et être là aujourd'hui, et c'est même pas là, ça relève de l'extraordinaire, je vous le dis. Mais comme quoi, le travail et la passion. Et des hommes autour de nous, des hommes.
You have no idea of what it means to be here today. We often forget to mention, to give enough credit to the men and the women behind the scenes who make it happen. And we've been going through the motions with Jean-Claude Rouget for decades now, and to arrive here, it's hard to put in words, but there's one word that Jean-Bernard kept saying, it's work, 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 and that's what is here today.
We can listen to Christian Demuro. It's incredible. To win the Arc the first time was amazing, but this is just exceptional. Tell us about the difference between this horse. He's very complicated in the paddock and in the parade, but once he's out cantering out, it's different. He said it's the first time he's ridden such an easy horse. It's like he hadn't run. He's just sprinted. It's as though he's doing a piece of work at home. He has no limits. There's not a horse that can fight against him, says Christian Demuro. He's just extraordinary. He thanks the whole stable. They do fantastic work. It's not always easy. This horse can be difficult in the mornings. He soon gets under pressure, and they've done a fantastic work with him. And Christian rode calmly, rode exactly how he wanted to ride the race. So he didn't want to make it complicated. He's got the right horse. He knows how to sprint. I was relaxed. I got a good lead around with Fantastic Moon, who we thought he was one of the horses of the race. And then he said he flies. Dominic says when you win easily like that, you can hear the grandstand, you can hear the crowd. And Christian enjoyed the moment with the reaction, with the encouragement of the crowd. Really a moment to savour for Christian Demuro. And it was Dominic Boeuf, a former French champion jockey and ARC-winning jockey, now retired, who was asking the questions of Christian Demuro. Now a dual ARC-winning jockey, Italian-born, based here in France, and some real emotional wins. And Fanny is now with Jean-Claude Rouget for more emotion.
Jean-Claude, bravo. Bravo, quel champion. Vous vous sentez confiant un petit peu pendant la semaine, mais quel champion, qu'est-ce qu'il vous a montré?
Ouais, parce que à chaque fois on dit c'est trop beau pour être vrai. Parce que les courses, on les connaît, il y a tellement d'impondérables. Pour gagner des fois, rien qu'à Médène avec un cheval, c'est compliqué. Donc gagner l'Arc, on est favori, on a tout le poids sur les épaules. On préfère des fois être outsider. Puis ça s'est passé comme dans un rêve, comme dans le Jockey Club, pareil.
On vous laisse profiter, on viendra après vous demander pour la suite. So for the translation, I might need help, Catherine, because we're doing back-to-back interviews. But it's been as in a dream, said Jean-Claude Rouget. It's an incredible moment.
Yeah, fantastic work, Fanny, down there in the heat of the moment with Jean-Claude Rouget. He said it feels like it's too good to be true. He said sometimes in racing things can be unexpected. It's difficult even to win a maiden race, and when you come into the Arc with a favourite, there's a lot of pressure, but to win it as a favourite.
Well, a chance to speak to Frankie Dettori after his last ride in the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. It wasn't to be. I think you thought it might not be the day, but how do you feel?
I was a bit sad this morning. You know, I really enjoyed the whole day. I had no pressure. Listen, the last 5 years I rode the favourite, so riding a 20-to-1 shot, I really was able to absorb it all in and enjoy it. The Arc has been a fabulous race for me, and I'm bowing out with a smile on my face.
As always, how special is this place, Frankie, the winning most rider here?
Oh, of course, the Arc is a special race, and no different this year. The winner is a superstar, and he showed a bit of a dancing brave turn of foot. I rode 34 arcs, so that's a record itself, and I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to miss it, but I've had a good run at it.
I think, judging by the reception you've had here, Frankie, they're all going to miss you. The reception's been amazing, hasn't it, today?
Yes, yeah, kind of overwhelming at times. I'm trying to keep it together, but I've got 2 more races.
Good man, good man. Frankie, thanks ever so much. Well done. Again, we'll head back to our colleagues at Arcadia.
In the region of 200 horses, there's an awful lot of people involved in the whole process.
Especially when you've got 1 yard in Normandy and 1 down in the southwest. And Jean-Bernard Roth, he won the Godolphin Stable Staff Member of the Year. I think it was the first time that they actually had those awards here in France. And absolutely pivotal but member of the Jean-Claude Rouget team, as is Christian Demuro. They've brought up such a great rapport. Christian, the younger brother of Mirko Demuro, who's based in Japan, and Christian came over here to France quite a few years ago now as a young jockey, and built up this relationship with Jean-Claude. He won his 1,000th winner in France earlier on this summer, and he was saying in an interview earlier this week, I think it was in the Racing Post actually, that to kind of find himself here riding an unbeaten favourite in the Arc, it's just the stuff of dreams. He broke records as a young jockey in Italy, and now he is definitely among the best in the world. You can see the drive there, and he's just really believes in this horse. He said once again, he flies.
Yeah, well, you can tell the way he rides him, he believes in it. It was just a great watch, wasn't it? We've seen the performance of a champion there. no doubt about it. Sort of reminiscent in the way you saw some of those shots of the way Dancing Brave in the Jumpmont Silks, of course, were in second when Westover swooped past almost the entire field in the straight to come through for glory. And look, yeah, a seriously good horse, a seriously good training performance. Back to Jean-Claude Rouget, you know, an unusual preparation, wasn't it? Obviously not having tackled the trip before, not run since August at Deauville. People saying, is that the right thing to have done? But, you know, we know he knows what he's doing, but he's proved it in spades.
To even take this horse back right to the very start of his career, he won his first race, a debutante's race at Cannes, and that was in January. Yeah. And you don't do that to win classic races. Very few horses can do that. They can do it, but this horse was exceptional. And then he went to Bordeaux, and then he came to Paris. And it was
a conditions race, the Prix de Suresnes, which is over the course and distance of the Jockey Club. So he wanted the course and distance form ahead of the Jockey Club. He was quietly confident coming into the Jockey Club, but everyone was talking about Big Rock. So he was able to keep his cards maybe close to his chest. He gave him the break over the summer, brought him back on home territory in the Guillaume d'Ornano at Deauville, and he won cosily that day. And then this has been the focus, and he was confident in the staying power, was confident in the acceleration, and Jean-Claude Rouget, another one of his talents. He bought this horse, I think it was 80,000 euros at the Arcana sales. You know, he is someone who goes out and buys a lot of his own horses. He doesn't have a huge amount of, well, he's getting more and more obviously, but very rich and wealthy owners. You know, a lot of his horses are from the French sales, picked out by Jean-Claude himself, usually for quite affordable sums. As you see, a really popular win. Went off at 2.9 on the PMU. And just a word about the colours. These are the colours that Ace Impact carried to success in the Prix du Jockey Club, the Serge Stempniak colours. That's another nice element to the story. Serge Stempniak coming into racing as a punter and a small-time owner, very involved with Jean-Claude Rouget for a long time. He's also had runners on the over jumps and also in the trotting discipline, and he stumbled across this great horse, and well, he's now come across Fanny, who's going to speak to him.
Well, this is not your first Group 1 winner, but seeing your colors coming back, voir vos couleurs rentrer un jour d'arc comme ça avec un gagnant d'arc, qu'est-ce que vous ressentez en ce moment?
C'est indescriptible, c'est vraiment beaucoup d'émotions. Je ne sais pas quoi vous dire. J'avais déjà gagné le prix du Jockey Club et c'était formidable, mais là c'est l'apothéose, c'est le Graal. Voilà, il n'y a pas de
It's hard to describe what you feel. I had already won the Prix du Jockey Club, the French Derby, but here winning the Arc with him is just, it's unreal. I don't have words. Well, congratulations. Well,
merci beaucoup, merci à vous, merci beaucoup.
Yeah, thanks, Fanny. Immediate reaction from Serge Stempniak, who just can't believe his luck, I think, with this horse. And after the Jockey Club, he sold 50% of the horse to the Goussery racing team, the Cheboub family, who have become important actors on the French racing and breeding scene, with Horizon Dory, who we saw winning in Group 2 yesterday. They had Sealiway a few years ago, and they've now got a Stud de Arts de Beaumont up in Normandy. And so they've bought a 50% share in this horse with a view to keeping him as a stallion in France in the future. And the deal was they will alternate colours, so they will sometimes alternate races. He will carry the green and yellow colours of the Cheboub family. We caught a glimpse of Pauline there, who manages the stable, but the rule was for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, it will be the orange and black colours of Serge Stempniak. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him, and I think he'll have that photo on the wall pretty soon.
Nightly. Just nice for a French. It was just nice for a French-trained three-year-old colt. It'd been that long, hadn't it? You know, 2006. It's remarkable, really.
Yeah.
You know, 17, having sort of been dominant in the race for the 10, 12 years prior to that. You know, the winner emerged from the Prix Niel pretty much every year, didn't it? To go 17 years without one doing it.
Yeah, and since the Prix du Jockey Club was reduced from the 1.5 miles to the 10.5 furlongs, this is the first time that a Prix du Jockey Club winner has gone on won the Arc. The previous one was Dalakani, who won the Jockey Club as a 10.5, as a 1.5 mile classic distance race. So this is great for the race. It's great for French racing, and it's great for French breeding as well, because this son of Cracksman will be retiring to stud in Normandy, and we'll hear more maybe from Jean-Claude Rouget and connections as to whether or not he will retire as an unbeaten 6 out of 6, or whether they'll try for more.
Will come back,
a lot to talk about with that, because Jean-Claude Rouget, he maybe had his fingers burnt a little bit. Vardeni last year finished second in the Arc, and we were expecting big things from him this season. That didn't transpire, but he's certainly enjoying the moment. It's fantastic scenes for him, and let's just look. Have we had a replay of the race?
We haven't
Should we
yet.
have a look at
it would be nice to see it again. Yep.
Full replay and to see what happened to the other horses? It's on its way as the Pauline Cheboub there.
This was an incredibly exciting race overall. It was run to, in many ways, the way it was expected to go to the early lead. It went to Sim Camille in the very early stages, but then was taken on by Mr. Hollywood, which I don't think anyone was really surprised with the burgundy and white spots going up on the outside of Bay Bridge. And Bay Bridge set the early speed, but was then taken on by Mr. Hollywood. Sim Camille in the blue settles in third, and Westover from the inside gate was able to retain that inside run.
Yeah, he's had the perfect trip in many respects, hasn't he? From that good draw, had to sort of sit handy to make sure that he wasn't going to make any traffic problems. But the race has gone perfectly for him. Hookham, of course, emerges there on the outside of the race alongside him. Weather just using that energy to get across from 14 to, as we now see, a prominent position has taken its toll with him, because he has faded out of it, hasn't he, in the final 400.
The horse I was surprised to see as close was Feed the Flame. He always gets back. He was only 4 or 5.
I think it might have been in Soumillon's mind that, again, drawn low, if you go and sit at the back, you're a complete hostage to fortune. Whether he thought that he would just have to sit that bit closer to the pace to try and ensure that he could do what he wanted to do.
And no surprise to see Ace Impact. You can see he's actually third last there as they came down towards the 1,000-metre mark. In his usual role, he had the Japanese horse 37Cs down on his inside. And then as they went into the false straight, it was still Mr. Hollywood. Hookham in a good position there, Andrew.
Yeah, as I say, he managed to get into one, whether just, as I said, the energy that he maybe used up to get there has taken its toll with him. I don't know. Westover just ideally placed on the inside there in fifth. I'm just going to keep an eye on the Japanese horse as well, who's alongside on the inside of Ace Impact at that point.
And here you can see, or just earlier, you can see Christian Demure. He's absolutely, the horse is just running into his hands. He's just got a double handful. He can feel that he's got so much horse underneath him.
And Continuous is badly held up down on the rail in the purple colours, still well back in the field.
And there's Bay Bridge,
who...
who
Hookham moves up.
He hits the front. Hookham out to Wigan. Westover hits the front. 200 metres to go. But on the outside with that slingshot finish, here comes Ace Impact. We knew he had that turn of foot. It was whether he could deliver it over this longer trip, wasn't it? And boy, has he done that. But there's a few Ernesto keeping on. He's right back to his best, isn't he, after a couple of indifferent runs over shorter trips.
He had a fantastic, comeback in the Jacques Lemarrois, third over the mile. He went to Ireland, the Irish Champion Stakes, and I spoke to Fabrice Chappet after that. Typical in France. Everyone's always complaining about French races with no pace, and Fabrice Chappet told me there was too much pace in the Irish Champion Stakes. The horse could never get...
Well, isn't that lovely to see? Christian Demuro, very popular member of the weighing room, and the first person to congratulate him with a kiss was, of course, Frankie Dettori. Christian's got a little way to go. He's still 4 behind Frankie, but he will have absolutely loved that. And he's become one of the real big race go-to guys in France, riding for one of the biggest stables, and now has a second Arc success to his name. And you can see exactly what that meant to him as he crossed the line. Well, it lived up to expectation. We had it billed as a race of 3 stories, really. It wasn't to be for the Japanese, though the mare Through 7 Seas has run an excellent race. It wasn't to be for Frankie Dettori, but we sort of expected that. But as the guys at Akidia were saying there, it went to an unbeaten French 3-year-old colt, and that is fantastic for the race. The locals, as they make their way back through Paris later on today, will be absolutely delighted with that. It's the year of the French World Cup. There could be more French success there with the team looking so good, but this was a home win for Jean-Claude Rouget, Christian Demuro. Yes, Frankie may still be the king at Longchamp, but today it was all about an ace in the Arc.
Second was Ernesto with Westover on the inside. Then through Seven Seas Continuous. And behind those two
during the end of the year. He won a Group 2 yesterday, heading to Ascot for the Champion Stakes, and then may well be heading over to Asia. But for the moment, we're enjoying the success of the Arc. Looks like Jean-Claude Rouget is on the phone, congratulating his team.
Taking a leaf out of Aidan O'Brien's book, eh?
Indeed. And yeah, this horse was bred in France by Madame Spanner. I think she's a German breeder, possibly based in France. Jean-Claude Rouget is a partner there. Also in the carriage. Room for a few more. And the favourite won last year with Alpinista, another favourite winning. Yeah, it's a great spectacle for the crowd here at Paris-Longchamp. There really is a wonderful atmosphere here today. We've got nine races and a really varied atmosphere, quite relaxed, top-class racing and various different food and drink outlets, and it's a really nice day out. You know, you can see people yesterday that were here at the track were really enjoying it, and I'm sure that they're enjoying it here today in the sunshine and with this popular winner.
One thing about Jean-Claude Rouget I've noticed over the years is, as we've seen him grown, he really has become targeting of races. He really looks at a horse and he knows how to place his horses to their ability, and that's what's really, and this is why he about 2 months ago, I couldn't believe that his strike rate actually went down to 12%, which is just unheard of for Jean-Claude Rouget. The last couple of weeks, he has just flown, and he was up to something like 32% strike rate at the present time. Even might have been slightly higher than that. He just knows his horses and knows where to place them, and that's an outstanding trainer who does that.
Yeah, he's very, very astute, and he has the two stables, so one down in Pau, which is where he was traditionally. He was born in the west of France. He actually started off as a jumps trainer, and then his father was a trainer, and then he moved down to Pau and started to become successful. So now this horse actually started this season down in his Pau yard, which is generally where his secondary horses are, and then he kind of saw the progress. He said that he wanted to start him off early in Cagnes-sur-Mer because he already had the Jockey Club in mind for him. Things just didn't work out for him to be able to run as a juvenile, but he knew that he had a bit of potential, so he wanted to get a race under his belt early on in the season, which is why he ran in that all-weather race at Cagnes-sur-Mer the end of January, was it?
Yes,
end of January, and then came up through Bordeaux. So he kind of went the alternate route to the Prix du Jockey Club. But Jean-Claude Rouget, I think he knew what he had in his hands, and here he moved up to the Deauville stable to prepare for the trial for the Jockey Club.
Where is he based? Is that where he's based, primarily up here at Deauville, or is he?
Jean-Claude himself?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the season.
Right. Okay.
who's doing the best lunches at the time. Yeah, because they're quite a way away, you know, and
we're talking 600 or 700 kilometres between the two training venues, and it's a massive venue he's got in both down at Pau and also at Deauville.
And then you've got Paris in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, so the horse costs €75,000.